The Wicker Man was made more than 30 years ago and has, in a way, inexplicably to me, become more and more of a cult, a celebrated classic picture, which is obviously very gratifying, but I've often wondered during this process whether I should make another film in the same genre. Because one of the things that has become clear in these years is that no one else has attempted to do exactly the same thing, that is to say, mix comedy, romance, a little bit of sex with horror. To tell a story which actually has some serious content beyond what the story, the plot of the story. And in other words, comparisons between Christianity and paganism, and the need people have for religion, and the need to try and find ways to make the God or the gods do things for them through some form of sacrifice. But obviously the sacrifice in the case of Christians takes place in the Mass and is entirely symbolic. The pagans is not so symbolic. And I think the conflict between the two, and the fact that we can recognize bits of that conflict in our everyday lives, because those signs are still there. I mean, in the present film, for instance, one of the characters says about Easter, and she's one of the pagans. Few Christians realize that Easter is governed by the moon. God is. And by the way, few Christians do realize that Easter is governed by the moon, and it is because the feast that happened at that time before Christianity was governed by the moon, as many other feasts were. The third film I plan to make is in the same genre, will be a mixture of music. It's based very loosely on Götterdämmerung, the final act of Wagner's Ring Cycle. And it's set in Iceland, where the original mythology that Wagner uses in the Ring Cycle comes from. And so it will have a mixture of music like The Wicker Man and the Wicker Tree. In the case of the Wrath of the Gods, as I'm calling it, it'll be based on the leitmotifs, so as to say, the themes of the various characters. Brunhilde, which we call Bryn, and Siegfried, we call Ziggy, and Odin, who we call Mr. Bowden. So it's a contemporary story, set partly in Burbank, Los Angeles, but mostly in Iceland. And it has an ending which is suitably apocalyptic for the gods, and I hope that will close the trilogy quite well.